everyone.
Happy Monday.
Yes, sir.
I always get Monday right.
We get most of the
Sometimes
days
we're
wrong.
doing Thursdays.
Yeah.
And
I
I
get
get
most
wrong.
of the days wrong most of the time, I think.
No, we don't. You do. Happy Monday.
Yeah, man.
Are we live? Is everything showing up? Everything's good over there, Fat?
Cool.
We're trying to share this, so bear with us. You might see me using my phone for a couple of minutes. Once it does pop up, we always like to share our Facebook lives. That way as many people as possible can see it. But we got a good one for today. I'm super jazzed about this because I got some shit.
We always got some good stuff, bro. We always
Well, that's
do.
subjective because it's us. I get it.
We always do, man.
Trying to be impartial.
Today's a good mix of a little bit hippie, a little bit
Yeah.
practical, a little bit slap of reality.
I'm a little bit country. I'm a little bit rock and roll. Shut the fuck up. I'm a little bit shut the fuck up today.
Yeah.
It's a good one. It's super productive. I think a lot of people need to hear it because I do think a lot of people want things, but the direction in which they go or what they're focusing on, I'm not sure if they're in the right direction. But I'm going to let you say the title because I'm going to elaborate a little bit. So you're going to get the title.
Well, there's a few different layers to this. So this one's
what's the
titled
title?
Finding Your Happiness, Who are you and why?
Okay.
It's a big question right there.
It is.
It's a really big question, right?
It is. And I thought you were going to say finding your happy place because I know it would have been a lot better. But I don't want this taken out of context, right? Don't be a bitch. And if you're a bitch, hold on a minute. I say this every time. Hold on a minute. Hear me out. We're going to be talking about who you are and why, what your goals are and why, and what are you setting out to accomplish and why, and what's it all for, and all that good stuff. However, Eli's big, and I'm big on this too. But specifically Eli's big on like just being happy. What makes you happy? And hey, when you're chasing all these things down or when you're trying to accomplish so much, like, hey, at the end of the day, is it making you happy? And I super agree. Here's where I want to be super clear, at least with our podcast and from our perspective, is I also super feel you're not going to like everything you do within that process. And there's going to be some hard work that comes across it. And this is not about just finding your happy place. And if you have a hard day or if you have a hard year, whatever it may be, you're not putting the time in. So,
Right.
But this is why what you chase down, this is why it's so important to just follow what you're passionate about. And it doesn't necessarily mean a job title. I don't want to give away too much. We got some good notes for today, but who'd have thought I'd be doing real estate? However, haven't said that in a while. If you know me, if you know how I care and how I process thought and just certain things, and me being in real estate makes perfect sense.
Absolutely.
If you know me. So again, just being open-minded to your qualities, not being fixed on a title. I'm kind of giving away too much, but I right at the gate, I love giving a little bit of context. So this podcast is super productive and we minimize the fuckery in the very beginning about what we're talking about, early on. But with that being said, man, you got anything you want to preface before we kind of start diving into it?
I think we posed a big question in the beginning is who are you, right? I know we're going to dive into some goal setting and stuff like that because that is a huge part of who you are as a person. But diving into those pillars as far as who are you, what do you think kind of goes into that? I know we're talking a lot about career, and I know most people that listen to this, they are entrepreneurs, they're starting a company or they own a company or even just employees who are trying to be the best at what they are and do the corporate thing and climb the ladder. Needless to say, a huge part of who we are is our career. So I think kind of starting off on our career conversation and finding out, all right, who are you? Is that your career or what does that look like to you?
Yeah. And while the camera was on you, I was able to go on to Facebook and share it. I didn't see an alert. So if you go onto your phone while I'm talking and no one can see you, you can go on to our page and you can share it. So just giving you no, man, you have a big following. We got to get you to share it.
Right. Okay.
No, I like it. And this is not necessarily in chronological order, but today we want to cover goal specific, right? So, hey, who you are and why, but then being specific about your goals and what you want to accomplish as an individual, personal goals, but mainly, we're going to be talking a lot of career today as far as like how you're approaching goals in your career and just things to be realistic about. No, I don't mean realistic as in like, hey, you're not going to be a professional athlete, but hey, you might not be a top producer, right? And just kind of dialing into some of those things and being as specific as possible. We're also going to be touching into lifestyle. What is your lifestyle? What's it all about? Are you all about the hustle, quote unquote, but every weekend you have off? or you like every night off, or your energy level, or just some self-awareness on, how much work you actually put into something kind of thing. Or just your ability to be creative and things like that. And I'm just prefacing, we're going to go through all these specifically today. Happiness. We specifically put out that on there for Eli. Hey, hold on. I am learning how to be happy.
He is, man.
I had a weekend. I took the weekend this weekend for the kiddos and went to a couple of birthday parties. Went to one birthday party in particular. Good friend of mine. I've known him forever. Not to get sidetracked, but I think part of me finding my happiness, and I have a hard time checking out because I just kind of don't want to. I just, I'm just in it and I'm focused at work and I'm checked in and hey, it works, man. And if I do check out, I get, I don't want to use the word, but I get super picky or super, not bougie, super picky, as in if they're just not productive people, I don't want to check out, But Kenny, phenomenal guy. Great father, great family. I've known him and his family for a long time. He started getting his son into working out, like 2011. So I've known him since 2010 or 11, man, when I'd come back. This is toward the end of my Marine Corps career, toward the end of it, and would come back, and I saw him and his son working out, and his son's all big and buff now.
He is,
man. Tyler Fat. Tyler, he's all buff. I had to show him up this weekend, dude. I had to take all the steak away from him and show him who's boss. But he's a really good father. He's ahead of me. He's about 10 years older than me, and I like that. I like that I enjoy who he is as a father. I like that he's super successful in his business, but he still finds time for family, and I feel like selfishly I can gain from someone like that, and I can learn some things as a father. So part of me being happy or checking out per se is it still has to be somewhat productive intellectually, emotionally, or just the environment and the energy of people I'm around. I like that. So that's one of them. Big happiness. I'm learning some of that too. And it's not that I'm unhappy. We'll elaborate. Once we get to that, I'm going to kind of elaborate on my feelings with that. But I'm learning how to be happy, Eli. And then, and then again, just prefacing, just being able to put in real work, and just understanding that. So if you're good with it, why don't we start with, do you want to start with goal specific?
Yeah, let's start with goal specific.
Cool.
And again, just to preface a little more, the mission for today's conversation is to help establish, all right, why are your goals, right? How does that fit into your lifestyle or your ideal lifestyle? And then setting realistic expectations for yourself attached to those goals. So, for example, your goal is one thing. Does your lifestyle match that goal? And then ultimately at the end of the day, like Will said, does all the shit make you happy, right? So starting off with goals, why are your goals your goals?
Are you asking me?
Hypothetically. One should ask themselves, why are your goals your goals? So when you
let's give examples. I guess so some context, so this isn't just about Eli and I. And we're going to use some examples that I'm not even sure are my goals. That way I'm super unbiased with it. But we're in real estate, so let's use that. And if anyone's listening to this that knows us personally, this is not geared toward you. So I don't want you guys thinking that anyone's thinking of you or personally attacking you or talking shit. It'd be to your face.
Yeah, and when we say real estate, really this goes into any sales.
It does.
Any sales position,
real estate. But so let's use top producer.
Okay.
Right? That's one that's, I've heard recently, but it's also something that you hear since day one.
Yeah.
Right. And then you got to think like, okay, you want to be a top producer. And then part of that, when you're looking at that goal is like, cool. And then what's the time frame? Like, you think you're going to do that in your first year? And if so, why? And then how, and something big that I want to give a little bit of context to as well as we talk about incremental achievements. Like we were given, we were doing our networking company class and FitWorks, and we've got a guy that's helping us with the class, and he learns a lot, but also helps teach sometimes when he's got some things to say, and super good dude. And we were speaking about his company, and it's like, hey guys, if so-and-so had a 10% increase in his company's volume, how would he be sitting right now? Good. Like if he increased 10% from the year prior, like he'd be getting bonuses, right? They'd be loving him. Cool. So then why is that not acceptable for you? Why do you think you have to do, so I think just gauging goals and understanding. And when we say realistic, I'm not telling you to sandbag yourself. I'm not saying that overall, if you want to lose 100 pounds of weight, cool. But I also want you to understand how to lose 5 pounds 20 times. Because there's going to be things along that process that you learn along the way, and you got to understand, like, that's being realistic, but not sandbagging. I'm not saying settle on your dreams and be realistic and marry some average chick. No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is it's okay to want to be a top producer. Cool. Yeah. Let's be realistic. Can you even see that? No. What can you see? Well, what'd you do this year? Nothing, because I'm new. Or last year I did 2.
Right.
I did 2 deals last year. Okay. So what if you did 4 this year? What's the percentage increase on that?
100% increase, man.
Hey, so is that not a step in the right direction?
Hell yeah.
But if people aren't like a top producer overnight,
Right.
then I feel like there's an issue. So I think, dude, a lot of the times it's not so much setting the goal or like setting that North Star out for what you want to achieve. I don't necessarily think that's the problem. I think the problem is the incremental and the direction and the actions that you're taking along the way of just recognizing and just knowing when you're moving in the right direction.
And just being realistic. And that's where I think like you do need to listen to people who do have a lot of experience with goal accomplishment. Maybe it's not the goal in your specific industry, but just when you've accomplished things in your life, like, you know, we both from our different backgrounds, we've accomplished certain things, and you understand that, hey, shit takes a long time. It takes a lot longer than you think, and a lot more work has to go into that than you think. And I think people as a whole have a tendency to greatly overestimate how much they can get done in 5 years and greatly underestimate how much they can get done in 1 year. Or
Sure.
flip that. I went dyslexic. Underestimate how much they can get done
know
in
what you're
5 years
saying.
and overestimate how much in 1 year. That 1 year is going to go by like that.
Yeah. Well, and I correlate a lot of things to the gym. Like when somebody wants to lose, let's say 40 pounds.
Yeah.
Right. They get there, but they don't really talk about it until they get there. And then when they get there, they're kind of like sacrificing everything to get there, as in, you know, tracking what you're doing and like, hey, let's not just lose 40 pounds, but then our body's composition hasn't changed.
Right.
So for those of you that don't obla composition, I get it. I'm not being insultive here. Let's say you're 250 pounds and you're 20% body fat. And then you lose 40 pounds, but you do your body's BMI again. And even though you're 40 pounds lighter, you're still 20% body fat. That means part of you losing weight, accumulative of that 40 pounds, some of that's muscle.
Yep.
As in, yeah, like it got there, but it's kind of a shit show. Like what were you doing? Was your diet trash? Were you not tracking what you're doing? Were you not feeling those 5 pound and 3 pound incremental steps? Were you not listening to your body and just understanding, you know, and just having more direction with what you're trying to accomplish? That way, when you lose 40 pounds, you maintain as much lean muscle mass as you could, and your body's composition changed. As in, not only have I lost 40 pounds, I'm down from 20% body fat to 12 or 14.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting, right? Like, and what that does to your body is huge. So, again, you know, when you're going for that goal, hey, top producer, you know, awesome, you know, but along the way, there's going to be incremental steps in the right direction or wrong direction. And if you're not feeling those and paying attention to them, you're in trouble. And if you don't really have incremental goals to get there, like if someone were to ask me like, hey, I want to be top producer, cool. So what is that? Right? Like write that down. If you guys are listening to this, like whatever your goal is, like write it down. Not write it down as in just literally I want space, right? To be top producer, period. I get it. More specifically. So what is that? Top producer for your team, top producer for your office, top producer for the state of Colorado, top producer for the nation. What? Be specific so you understand what you're reaching for.
Right.
Right? I want to be top producer nationally. Okay. What is that? I don't know. Then how's that your goal? What is the top 1% of realtors across the nation producing? Okay. They're doing this. Like, let's say it's 300 deals, a year.
Okay. Yeah.
And then you go, well, hold on a minute. They could do 300 transactions a year. That's a lot of paperwork. Oh, maybe they have a team of 10 or 12 agents, and they're just taking credit for their agents going out and doing deals. They scaled the team.
Yep.
And they got transaction coordinators and other stuff. Like, now you're starting to grasp, oh, shit. Like, well, they're just at scale. Correct. Interesting. Okay, so maybe your goal should be to produce a certain level of production by yourself, and then add a transaction coordinator, and then add 1 or 2 agents below you as you build a team, and then you scale the team, which then eventually equals something. But what I'm getting at is once you dive into what you're really looking at as a goal specifically, you're going to start realizing there's a ton of incremental steps along the way that start painting that path for you. And what that does is it gives you your stepping stones. And then look, your first 2 years might just be creating enough production around yourself before you hire someone on.
Yeah, and I think it's important too to get yourself around those people. Like if there's a person that's done what you're trying to do, how can you get around them? And just even if you're just observing, or you're just spending more time with them in the office, or you're getting yourself in their social circle,
they're going to help paint that picture for you.
They are.
And again, just like, especially in sales, guys, like Not to cry. Not to cry on
Just
camera.
love sales
Breaking
so
my
much.
goddamn heart. I'm gonna watch my language today so we can boost these.
Way too late for that. Way too late.
You like that?
I think your fifth word was an
man.
F-bomb.
I know.
Yeah.
But just understanding and grasping that, because first and foremost, we're using top producer loosely because it's not just about real estate, but whatever you want to be top at, whatever you're striving for, like, do you think you're going to get there by not being a subject matter expert? Do you think you're going to get there by not doing deals? Do you think you're going to get there by not knowing what you're talking about? Mm-hmm. And there's business models out there in real estate where you can just make money on people below you, right? Like, you don't have to do your own deals. If you just recruit enough people, then you get a small cut of what they do. And then if you get 100 people under you, it's almost like real estate / multi-level marketing in itself, and it's weird. Anyway.
You still got to be good at it, though.
The point is, if you're recruiting anybody decent that has anything good to say or knows half of what the hell they're talking about, why would they follow you and allow you to gain on their commissions, right? Like, they just won't. So first and foremost, just understand that you need to be a subject matter expert at your craft. And if you're going to be a top producer, then that means you should be one of the most proficient people at that operation, period, before you scale it.
And that just does not happen overnight.
And guess what? Once you scale it, it's not as good.
Yeah.
People aren't you, right? It's not as good. You got to be that much better to then supervise others. So as they're scaling it, your business model and the proficiency people are doing to take care of clients is still adequate. And if it's not, you're in trouble. So I think biggest thing here, reversing this a little bit and taking a step back, is whatever that goal is, okay, write it down, cool. But then dive into what that is, right? I want to lose 100 pounds. Cool. Write it down. And then what is that? That's 5 pounds 20 times. Oh, okay. Interesting. Like, there's just ways of looking at it so you actually understand incremental steps. And you got to they're necessary, right? Because you've got to have a feel for whether you're moving in the right direction or not. You got to be able to read, like, just like you read a room, you got to be able to read that goal and whether, like, hey, am I moving in the right direction or not, versus, well, I just won't eat.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. There's that style of diet. You just don't eat and cool. And then, oh man, I lost 20 pounds and you're weak. And you're tired and you lost muscle, like, not a good way to do it. So again, and I keep using this again. It's not to anyone I know personally, but it's a good one. Top producer. Okay, what is that? Top producer for your team. Top producer for your office. Top producer for your county. Well, that's not really working in real estate. Top producer for your state. Top producer in the nation. Top producer in the nation within your company, or just overall. Oh, you want to be top producer across the board, regardless of company, in the nation. Okay. You got a long fucking way to go.
Yeah, you do.
And this is where you're going to have a lot of fun, because this is your idea today. What we talk about, like, the work ethics and the expectations you're setting on yourself with your goals. And then, okay, cool. So that's your goal, and we've decided that. Okay, what are we doing? Like, what are your realistic expectations on yourself? You got 3 hours a day. You're part-time because you're converting from something to the other. And I'm not mad if you're part-time. I'm not mad if you've got only a couple of hours a day right now to start working towards your new career. What I am saying is, maybe that top producer's 12 years out.
Yes.
Why the fuck is that a problem?
Right.
You got people that are working 16 hours a day that have a book of business, that have been grinding for 10 years, and they're fucking good at it. And they're talented, chasing down that 1%.
Yeah,
right?
bro.
Like,
Yeah.
But you working 3 hours a day, 2 hours a day, 6 hours a day, every other day, like, that's adequate. So again, realistic, not sandbagging, not trying to shit on your dreams here, but being realistic about, hey, no disrespect. You got guys like me out there that just want to eat you up and laugh at you.
Dude, they're
right?
everywhere.
They're everywhere. You
Everywhere.
got guys like, hey, this is a business for them. This is
Right.
how they provide for their family. This is their brand. And we've met a couple of them, right? And we're trying to be that ourselves, like, that are literally working that hard. And not only are they working that hard, they're also stupid talented.
Yeah, they're good at it.
And some of them still aren't there.
Well, and to help broaden your guys' perspective, so look at this as if you want to be the best house cleaner there is, you want to be the best dentist there is, whatever you are. If you own a company, or if you own a business, or you're in a service-based industry, especially, this applies to anyone who's trying to be the best to anything. Because, like what Will said, there are.
I want to go to I want to win Mr. Olympia,
bro. There's killers out there,
right?
that-
I think you need to respect the game, and if you're not around it,
yeah.
and this is why it's so important when you talked about getting around people that maybe are that, because if you've got enough audacity to open your mouth and no one is questioning you in that room, you're in the wrong fucking room.
Yeah, it's true,
right? Because and I'm not saying I'm top 1% of the nation. You know, like, we hit our top 1% as a team, and that was across for Berkshire, and that was with one year. Phenomenal. Guess what? barely talk about it unless somebody's mentioning it or we're recruiting or we're talking about accolades. Hey, cool, we'll talk about it. Otherwise, man, I'm shutting my mouth and I'm getting back at it, and we're trying to scale ourselves even more with what we're doing. Like, there's just no room to continue to talk about it. And like, that wasn't the goal in the first place. It's a great incremental step. It definitely shows you and I, hey, you guys are good at real estate. In addition to that, you've created a model that you can duplicate. So it's not just you two relying on your talent to do deals. You've created a process where you've duplicated it and you've taught other people to do it, and they're proven successful. Great. Those are really good 1 and 2 first steps into real estate. So I guess where I get a little bashful toward people is we might be at a certain level and I think it's nothing. But then someone isn't even close to that.
Right.
They haven't even figured out if they like the industry.
Yeah.
And they're talking like that. And it's like, hey, I think I'm just barely at it. I think Eli and I have made 1 or 2 really solid steps that showed we were talented enough to do it. It also showed we were smart enough to create a process to duplicate it, teach people what we duplicated, and then they got successful. Cool. But guess what? Well, now you still got to be able to scale that to 15, 17, 25, 30, 50, 70 agents. Well, how long does that take? As long as it fucking takes. I'm not just going to go recruit a bunch of whoever's or good people that just aren't good fits for us because we're just trying to hit a number in recruiting.
Right.
We want to make sure it's the right people. So if it takes 5 years to get to 50 or 8 years to get to 50, it takes 8 years.
Yeah.
It's more about just making sure that the people are there. But again, if you reverse you and I, you know, those 2 huge accomplishments, right, to some people, huge accomplishments, were just 2 steps in the right direction for you and I.
Well, and it's one of the classic things I think is, you know, once you kind of accomplish that goal, if you have the right mindset, you should be like, oh, that's it? Like, all right, what's next?
Yeah.
And I think something that people can relate to as well, like let's just put a financial goal. So I want to make $1 million, right?
Oh, God.
One thing that you have to do.
Another great topic.
Yeah, I want to make $1 million. And I think that's kind of a benchmark for everybody out there, right? Yeah, I want to make $1 million. Great. Now, let's do this. Let's take a look and see, is the industry that you're in, is that even possible? Is that even physically possible to make $1 million in that industry? Are you
depending on how long you're there? So again, be specific.
Not even. There's ceilings everywhere.
There is, but again, so when we're talking about being specific with your goal, right? Like, I want to be a top producer. Okay, what is that? And then how long do you think you're giving yourself to do that, right? And then same thing, I want to make $1 million. Okay. As an income, yearly income, like you want to be able to earn $1 million in a year's worth of income. Cool. And then how long are you giving yourself to do that? You're going to do it in the first year?
And what industry is it even physically possible
in your industry? Because, or do you want to make $1 million within 3 or 4 or 5 years?
Yeah. Well, and then the point that I'm getting to is being open and flexible enough in your goals to be able to look at yourself and be like, okay, am I attached to this career because I want to say I'm this type of thing? Or is my goal more important to me than the label of my career? Will and I both would not be in real estate at all if we were fixed on our previous label that we were attached to, right? I know both of us, it took our...
What were our labels?
It took, well, with
That's a loaded question.
Dude, with your extensive background, military, police, like who the hell would have thought you would end up in real estate?
Asshole, racist. Apparently I should be in prison.
Dude,
I don't know. Shouldn't even have this opportunity.
And
murderer.
I mean, your own labels for yourself, not
other
people's labels.
Oh, my own labels. Oh, I'm a teddy bear.
Yeah.
Right, but Fat? I always love looking at Fat because he can't look at me when he's monitoring cameras, and I'm like, I'm a teddy bear.
Yeah, I'm a teddy bear.
He's nodding, I promise.
Right.
No, but I agree. I agree. Just being open-minded. So one, like, if you're in, like, okay, so let's flip that too. If you're in an industry because, well, it's got freedom of schedule and you can just make a ton of money. So I want to go do that, but maybe it has nothing to do with what you're good at or what you like. Real estate, for example, talking to a good buddy of ours today, a lender, crushes, and he was talking to a newer agent and he was kind of helping her and diving into that, like, hey, so what brought you?
Yeah.
And it was like, well, just like the financial freedom, you know, and just freedom of schedule, you know, and I think she's within her first 90 days. And in my head, right, and I was like, so he was helping her out and just kind of gauging her a little bit and chatting with her and bless his heart, you know, and I want to do that too. And we do. We help. But then the other half of me is like, hey, what happened in your head that makes you think 90 days in you should be talking about freedom of schedule, but you're also talking about financial freedom? Now, no disrespect, because this is all goal specific. I'm assuming if you're watching us assholes that you want to grow and be competitive and just be a better person and better at growth. So I get it. We're idiots. Got it. But being specific, right? If you're just someone that's like, hey, I just want to do a couple days a year to bring a little bit of extra income to my family, and I want to learn my craft and be professional and take care of sales for people.
Yeah.
But it's more so just for the freedom of schedule. I get it, because now your goals are aligned, right?
Yes.
Like you're jumping into something and it feeds what you need it to. But if you're talking about financial freedom, okay, what is that? How much do you need to have financial freedom? And then obviously, like, financial freedom has to do with something reoccurring, as in you have sustainable reoccurring income. Okay, we're in sales. Okay, you don't have that. Oh, well, if you have a team and employees that do deals, it's reoccurring. Hey, check it out. Accountability meetings, team meetings, classes taught, constant mentorship.
You're earning every one of those
You're
dollars.
earning every one of it as
Yeah.
you. But here's the deal: as you should.
Yeah, exactly.
So if we're talking financial freedom, and you're talking freedom of your schedule, and you're 90 days in, like, hey, bless your heart, listen to me. This is not the place for you. Real estate is super cutthroat. It's super difficult. Just because you're in a Denver market, like, you think like a monkey can do this. It's not true, man.
And frankly, I partially blame the people that are doing it, because they don't open their mouths like we do. There's not a whole lot of people out there saying the truth behind what it takes to be successful in a commission-based sales industry.
I get that.
Everybody just talks about, you look at any coaching program out there, yeah, find out how you can make this much money and passive income and make money from the beach. People buy into that shit.
I know,
big time.
but I don't mind when people make money off of idiots. It's your fault for being an idiot.
Right.
You don't think people sell that shit to me?
Yep.
I don't listen to the hype, man.
You
My
get
shit
it.
stinks like everyone else.
You
And
get it.
There's it's that easy. No, man.
Right.
No. So
Right.
look, if people market stuff and make money off of idiots, hey, right on.
They're out there.
Because here's the deal: like, well, not everybody opens their mouth like us and speaks the truth. It's not their responsibility, though, either,
Correct,
right? Like,
right.
we're choosing to have a podcast. We're choosing to be idiots and run our mouth, and hopefully it helps someone.
Yep.
However, if you got top producers in Colorado that are out doing their job and they work their face off, do you think they give two cares about some new person that thinks they're going to have financial freedom and freedom of like, dude, they don't care. And it's not their responsibility to care. You're an adult. You're an entrepreneur. You're out there to fend for yourself. Like, hey, cool, buckle up and figure it out. Like, no, like, you don't have many people that are doing this because they're probably working their face off. But I try as a leader, like, hey, everything's my fault, right? Extreme ownership, yada, yada. Thanks, Jocko. Got it. To all of you strangers I don't know, you got to be able to take accountability, right? Like, so be careful with what Eli says. I know what you're saying, but be careful so it's not taken out of context, as in people start blaming the industry for not warning them. No, man. Be responsible for yourself and just understand it. Like, hey, yes, can you have some I guess form of financial freedom or whatever you think that is in real estate? Sure, there are aspects of rental properties and investments where I get it. Yeah. Now, there's still work, so I'm not saying that you're not going to have to put work in. But yes, is there going to be some quote unquote, depending on your definition of it, financial freedom? Yes, arguably yes. And then, are you going to have freedom of schedule?
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
However, bear with me. You're new. That means you should work your face off, right? Like, getting a rocket off the ground is way harder than once that rocket is in orbit.
True.
Way harder.
So true.
Building your book of business, becoming a professional, knowing law, knowing policies, understanding how to negotiate deals, understanding just the language behind contracts and managing people's emotions and becoming that subject matter expert before you can scale yourself to the point where you do have some freedom of schedule. And it's super important. But again, here's my problem. We're in a generation, regardless of age, it's not just millennials. A lot of millennials I like. We're in this phase, right, of everyone gets a trophy. Here's the double negative. We're in a generation of everyone gets a trophy, and we're in an industry where everyone will get hired because you're 1099.
And
you can go work anywhere because you pay to be there.
And you can get your license in 4 weeks.
Ugh. Right. And then the people's audacity, like, oh, yeah, they hired me, or they want, oh, yeah, they're super excited about me. Of course they are.
Yeah.
Okay, like, there's places that have 6,000 agents.
Yeah.
And maybe 10% of them actually do deals, but the other 5,000 of them, right? Like, if they do a deal a year, cool, because that brokerage makes money. There's some volume there, right? There's math behind it. I get it. But again, like, this is where you have to be super realistic and understanding whatever industry that you pick. And we're going to get to how you maybe pick that, here in a second, once I'm off my soapbox here. But yeah, understanding your phase and just understanding, like, oh, you want to do this for your life? You want to provide for yourself and have financial freedom and freedom of schedule, but you don't want to earn it?
Right.
Like, you don't understand what goes behind that. You're going to put 20 years of work into 5 or 10.
Yep.
Like there is no way around retirement, quote unquote, or there's no way around making it, quote unquote. Some people work corporate America or law enforcement and military, and you worked 20, 30 years and you got your earnings. And then some of you that want to be those top producers and ball out, quote unquote, you're going to put 30 years of work into 10. They're like, right? Like the work still has to get done. Whether you get the 9 to 5 and it takes you 30 years or you want it sooner, it just means you're going to work your face off. Right. And as you can tell, like I get emotional about that, not because I'm an asshole, I promise you, but because like just the realistic expectations, not being moderate, not sandbagging yourself, not, well, if you reach for the stars and you fall short, at least you'll hit the moon. Fuck off. What does that even mean? That's a plan B already.
Yeah, it is.
That's like, hey, I'm admitting that my goal's way too big, but even if I fall short, at least I hit the moon. Not true. Not true. You know what the reality is? That rocket blows the fuck up and you die.
And you get a job.
Gone. And you get a job.
Yeah.
No. Like, and I don't like those analogies because no, that's not the ladder. The ladder is not if I set this super far and I fall short, at least I'll get this. No.
Yeah.
You're going to go get a job.
Yep.
Okay. Your rocket is blown up and it's embarrassing because it's in front of everyone.
Yep.
Right? Like the audacity behind that.
Well,
I digress. I'm off my soapbox.
Well, and why it's so important to be so honest, like Will is being, and so passionate, because people need to get it through their heads, especially ones that are listening to this. If you're listening to this, hopefully you've got the frame of mind where you can digest all of this, but shit is hard. Shit takes a lot longer than you think it does, and you need to put in so much work day after day and seemingly not move the needle at all on your business. And I mean day after day, year after year, and just keep going. And that's one of the hardest parts, when you believe in something and you don't see the immediate ROI or the immediate outcome, but you have to keep persevering, because someday that scale will tip and things will start falling in your favor. But there's years, guys.
Bro.
There's years of putting in work and having nothing happen.
Nah, dude, I'm different, bro.
Dude, right?
I'm different, bro.
That's
Shut
what they
your
think.
mouth.
That's what they think,
I know.
man.
And dude, even more reason go do jiu-jitsu. Oh,
Dude,
you're different? You're talented?
Yeah, right.
Go be a white belt.
Yeah.
Go get your ass beat. Right?
Right.
By
right.
that nerd that does love working corporate America.
Yes.
That just loves sitting behind a computer, drooling over him beating your ass that day in jiu-jitsu.
Yep.
Go ahead. Right?
Dude,
like
they're there.
It's the same thing with business, man. Like
It
just having the pace of a sprinter, but understanding you're running a marathon.
And there's nothing that can compete with reps and years in the industry.
And just experience, man.
Yep.
You know, and it doesn't have to be even just experience in your industry, but just life experience in general. We've talked about that on the podcast with my experience prior to entrepreneurship and where I think that it's helped me, you know. But so again, being specific about your goal, because as much as I'm talking trash today, I want to help you too, because I give benefit of doubt that if you're listening to this, you're probably not the person I'm talking to. I get it. So appreciate you being patient and listening to my soapbox today. So reversing that before we get to the whole career identity, right? Just reversing that, just understanding, hey, be specific about your goal. Make it specific. I want to be a top producer. Of what? Okay? Not only of what, but time frame. And then what does that look like? Well, what's a top producer look like? Oh, I don't know. Okay, problem. Shouldn't be your goal. So again, being specific about your goal and understanding what the heck you just said and what your goal is in the first place.
If you want to be a millionaire, have you looked at how much money you need to make every day to make $1 million at the end of the year?
Well, that's not funny, Eli.
Yeah, look at that number. Have fun with that.
Dude, that's looks like my number.
Yeah.
Ooh, watch out. I'm coming for you, millionaires.
Right.
Huge, right? And then the more you understand at scale what that looks like, then again, putting yourself around people or just going and just diving into a process and what that looks like, and then going, oh wow, so top producers are doing 300 deals a year. How do they have enough time to do? Because then you're in real estate, hypothetically. Oh, so they show homes and put an offer in and win it and close on the same day? Just about, because it's 365 days a year and they're doing 300 deals a year.
Yep.
Wait, don't you have to show people homes?
Yeah.
Hey, don't you have to put offers in? Hey, doesn't there have to be time for inspections and appraisals, and they get all that done in one day? No, they don't, ass.
Right.
Oh, something is scaled. Something scaled here. They're taking credit for something. They got a team. Full disclosure, we don't do that with our team. However, some people do. All good, not against it. But the point is just understanding how top producers even get to the number that they're at is super important,
right? Because
that's what you can start reverse engineering. So again, like with you, I want to make $1 million in a year. Cool. How much is that in a day? How much is that in a month? And then just reverse engineer it until you can see it, until it's tangible, until you can relate to it. keep reverse engineering it and then go, okay, there's about 20. I reverse engineered this 20 times over. Okay, what's that mean? Well, I got to do 12 deals in a year. Why? Well, that's top 20%. And top 20% means this. But if I'm doing this many deals a year, at that point, I would be able to do this and bring somebody on to scale. Oh, interesting. So you're well on your way to your goal because now you understand how hard it is. Cool. And instead of trying to be top producer globally, you understand like, hey, I want to be top 20%. And, okay, a deal a month. I can see that. Okay, that means I have to have a couple clients in the pipeline. And as some of those are closing, I should be picking up a couple more. And like, okay. One deal. All right. And I think for people that are in their first couple of years of real estate, I think 12 is tangible. I think you can see that. What's wrong with starting there? Why do we, even though the end goal is this top producer, cool, but you're skipping every incremental goal that's leading you in the right direction of letting you know whether it's possible or not. Because here's the deal. Continue to work at it and work at it and work at it. And if you're in year 5 and you haven't hit 12 deals a year, if you're in year 3, shit, man, some might even argue that if you don't do 30 deals your first year, you don't have the talent to be a top producer, right? Arguably, not saying that that's true. But if you're not able to scale yourself just individually, just with a transaction broker and networking and building a book of business, and within your first 3 years, 5 years, you can't pull off 12 deals in 1 year, you should have a conversation with yourself of whether you should. Right? And do the same way in baseball.
Yeah.
Okay, like you got minor leagues, you got single A, double A, triple A, you got rookie ball, all these leagues. On average, you should be moving up to a higher league every 1 to 2 years if you think you're on pace to hit the actual MLB. Now, every once in a while, you have guys that spend 10, 11 years, and then, they get pulled up, and a lot of them are pitchers, right? Like they just got something good, or they had a couple of surgeries and they struggled, they finally get pulled up. But let's not get in the weeds. The bottom line is, like, as you're moving through the minor leagues, they even got a pace there. Like, look, man, if you're still in double A ball and you're 4 years into this thing, 6 years, you're not going. Okay. Like, you should probably go work at Home Depot or pray that you go back to college. I don't know, but figure it out, because you're probably not going to make the MLB. Not shitting on anyone's dreams. If you want to persevere, you
have to be realistic, though.
But you at least have to be able to track what you're doing. Okay. Like, so if you're in real estate and you're a certain amount of years in, and it's your goal to be top producer, I'm not messing with anyone that doesn't have any desire to do that. We're all talking.
Well, and this is any goal, not even just the best. But let's say if I want to make $50,000 this year, you still need to do the same.
But you can't find a way to find 10.
Right. You still need to follow this the same way. It's no different than, if we were talking about road trips today, right? And how much we hate them. And we're like, but for this analogy, if we're going from Colorado to California and we punched California in our GPS, we know where we're going, but what's the first turn that we take? What's the third turn?
Don't forget to get gas, and
you need the
damn pack a spare tire.
Map. This is all basic stuff, guys.
But here's the deal: if you can't see California, and if it's a high enough goal, you probably can't see it. But what you can see are some of these incremental steps that are going to happen early on.
The next turn, right?
That just keep you on your way, right? Yes. So I think we've beat that horse dead as shit. I'm gonna let it go. Next thing, and this was interesting, you brought this up today, career identity, right? Like not just fixing yourself to a career label, as in, you chose real estate because it's freedom of schedule and you make a lot of money, but like you have no quality to do that. And also not limiting yourself to certain career opportunities.
Right.
And just having some self-awareness and understanding where your qualities fit. Like, so for example, with me, I wasn't quite sold on real estate, right? Like I had people nudging me in a direction, and I was open-minded enough to kind of hear them out and hear what they had to say. And, a friend of mine that was nudging me is super productive in real estate, and now he's actually starting to ask me questions. Interesting, right? I like that. But bottom line was, no, it wasn't on my radar. But when I started looking at qualities that I have and just understanding how you have to manage people's emotions and understanding law and policy and contracts and different things, and, just having my history with what I did within law enforcement and military, obviously the Marine Corps stuff helps in with chain of command and material and leadership, so we can create a team. So that came in a little bit later on, but just understanding law and contracts and how to write and things like that. We have some police stuff helped there, and
big time,
dude, managing people's emotions. That was being a police officer, showing up at a car accident, managing people's emotions, and then like the stuff I did with the fitness company, just learning some commercial real estate and where to put things and how to put things and why they go where they go, gave me some background. And so when I was looking at it fundamentally, it was like, hey, yeah, if I say the title real estate agent, like Man, I'm like, dude, laugh in your face. Like, are you
Right.
sure?
Right.
But when you start diving in and looking at it, you go, huh, interesting. Like, that actually is a great fit. So this was a unique talk, and I want you to elaborate on it. But this was super unique when you mentioned this today. And I do think that if you're not necessarily fixed on your career right now, but you want to be an entrepreneur or grow, or you've got some skill sets that might fit a different career and you don't need to be an entrepreneur, you're cool like working for a different institution, but just not being narrow-minded to a title and understanding like, okay, take the title off of it. What do my qualities say about myself? And then what jobs, careers, or entrepreneurship opportunities are out there for me that fit my tools, not my label, not the name badge, but your tool belt.
Yeah,
right?
dude, and that's a strictly self-awareness, man. And I remember when you were telling the little story, I remember when I was lifting it 24 hours some day prior to doing any like bodybuilding competitions or anything like that. I was talking to a guy at the gym and he was like, so how long you been bodybuilding? And I was like, I ain't a bodybuilder, bro. I'm just lifting weights, man. And he's like, what are you talking about? Yeah, you are. And I'm like, dude, no, I lift weights. He's like, dude, do you do like lateral raises to get your shoulders bigger? I'm like, well, yeah. You're a bodybuilder. And then I'm like, And then I started thinking about labels and I'm like, why don't I want to even call myself that? But it was a few weeks after that I started thinking about actually doing a competition and whatnot. And that led me down a whole nother path. But right there, I was attached or against a fixed label rather versus having just being open-minded about it.
Sometimes there's stigmas on labels.
There are.
People think bodybuilders are
we do it with
big
real
and
estate.
dumb. And
Yeah.
real estate, look, man, people think like real estate is, like female dominant or soccer moms. And I'm super shooting from the hip, so I'm not insulting. And by the way, women are super smart and they're locked on real estate. Our entire team, but one is women. So super advocate for female. I'm just talking about like my perception of real estate. I didn't know any real estate guys.
That was me.
Some of it's like super female heavy, and it's the blazers and the folders and the little handouts and the little thing and the thing. And I'm, hey, dude, that's awesome. Nowhere did I think, right, like.
Dude, I avoided real estate for
being
that
an extra
same reason.
medium-sized guy with tattoos and loud-spoken. But then again, if you take all that away and you look at your qualities, and then you go, okay, if you're qualified, and you're super proficient and professional in what you do, but then just your appearance or personality shakes things up, hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
People actually start liking that. And interestingly enough, when you and I started doing business together, I felt like there was a little bit of a tide change. Like people wanted a little bit of a change than their grandma doing real estate for them. I think people wanted a little bit more honesty. They wanted things a little shaken up, and they wanted a little different, more modern approach to how we're looking at market and what it means to them.
I think that's across all industries and all jobs. And because people just want authenticity is the big thing right now that people really want. We've been fed bullshit for so many years, dude, through marketing and just, when you talk to I was in the hospital with my mom a few weeks ago, and 30% of the nurses and doctors had sleeves like tatted up. And I guess I talked to my sister about it. She's like, oh yeah, they actually just changed their policy to where they're allowing people to show their tattoos now. I'm like, damn, everybody's tattooed.
As long as they're not like incriminating or racial.
Yeah.
As long as they're clean.
But it was
doing that with
breath of fresh air, man, to talk to a doctor who's tatted up and he's just for real, like not using big doctor terms like, hey, man, this is what's up, blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, this is nice. I think people are feeling that across all industries, man. Yeah, just humanity.
And just being proficient, just understanding, like, if a suit is your thing, I'm so for it. If that's really you, like I've got friends, man, they love dressing up in suits and doing that part.
Yep.
And they work in Cherry Creek, and hey, man, all good. Not that you and I haven't done stuff in Cherry Creek, right? But they like that. And man, if that's you, if they love dressing up and being super clean, like, hey, I'm all for it. For me, I started that way. And I was missing an earpiece because I looked like a CIA agent that was getting ready to bust your head.
Yeah.
And, right, like a lot of people I do business with, man, I've met everywhere. I meet at my kiddo's school and birthday parties and the gym and everywhere else. Like, that's my book of business. No one was used to me like that. So when they would see me like this at a barbecue, or they'd see me, at the gym, and then I show up at their house in a suit and tie, they're almost taken back a little, like, hey, what are you doing? This is where the sales pitch comes in.
Right.
Versus just, hey, man, what's up?
Yeah.
Hey, Saturday was fun, man. And then we sit down and have a conversation and game plan, and just the atmospherics were so much better. And that's where I think I win. I think emotional intelligence, and I think just being able to read a room and read people and just understand, incremental moves forward matter more than you think, and I'm really good at reading those. So I think I'm hypersensitive to it, and it works, man, and it works for us. And again, I'm not against ties, I'm not against suits. Just the way you and I grow our business, people are used to seeing us and feeling us in a certain way. And predominantly, even though you and I like to put ties on every once in a while, it's not really our thing. So I'm not going to dress for an industry. That industry is going to be me, right? That industry. So if real estate is a culture, and I'm just giving that a stretch there, then we would be the subculture, which means, well, real estate means what does it mean for us? As long as we're within the letter of the law and we're putting our best foot forward and we're proficient for clients, it's what real estate means to us. It's not about dressing the part to fit into something. It's about making something fit who you are. But who you are should still organically fit in, as in your talents, your skill set, how hard you're able to work. Those should still fit into that industry. However, if they do, then that industry should still fit you, and you should still make it yours. And I think you and I do a great job, and I think people pick up on that. We do a great job at just making real estate us. What does it mean to us? And it conforms to us, but again, we still respect the industry, and we're up to date, and we're legal, things like that, right? But I think those things are important, man.
It is. And how this all correlates is, now that you've got your specific goal, let's call it an income goal. Now that you've got your specific income goal, not being attached to the label or position that you think is going to take you there, and taking a real hard, realistic look at, okay, is your job going to take you there towards your goal? If not, you need to be open-minded enough to be able to look at what skills that you do have and what industry those could be applied in that will take you to that income goal.
I got a friend. Weird. I just paused. I got a friend. Believe it or not, I have a friend.
Tell me about this other friend.
I spoke about her before. Known her family for years from the gym, and dude, she loves kids, and she's in her mid-20s. Loves kids, right? Her family supports her. Fiance supports her. Everyone is gung-ho. She comes from a great family, but she kind of gets in her own head, and then she kind of gets in her head about like society and stuff, and she loves daycare. Like, she doesn't want to work for a big preschool daycare corporate system. She loves direct care for kiddos. And we were talking at the gym, and she's getting a little teary-eyed, because she kind of doubts herself and like, well, is that even reputable? And but she's like, I feel so important when I do that. Like these parents need me, and they trust me with their children while they're at work. And I'm not just sitting there letting them watch TV. I take them outside. I take them for walks. I read to them. I teach them. She is super proactive, comes from a really good family. I've known her dad forever, man. Just a solid family. And she's so proud of it. She was getting stuck on the label. It's, what am I, a nanny? And I'm like, who gives a fuck what you call it? Call it a baby technician, right? Nail technician. They are. You just paint nails. No. Right? If you actually watch somebody and if they're great at doing nails or, manicures and pedicures, no, there's probably some technician shit in there because I can't do it, right? So same thing. And, we're having some fun, and she's been listening to a little bit of the podcast and just kind of diving through her own thoughts. But it's like, hey, and if you have a calling, like if you just love that, like some of this stuff here doesn't matter. Like, hey, going and finding your career, and does it even fit that much income into there if that's your income goal? All very valid. But then there's this other side to it. You just have a calling. And that's what she calls it. She's religious, and she's like, hey, she's like, I'm not trying to be crazy about it, but like, this is just what I'm passionate about. I love it. And no, I don't want 14 kids at the same time, but I just love this. Hey, don't rule out your passion and your calling thinking that you can't scale that. And we were talking real estate. I said, well, like, what if you did have a partner? And what if you guys did buy a super nice home in Southeast Aurora where you live, and you watch 4 kids or 6 kids or 8 kids out of there, or you cap it at 10, you got 3 people working it with you, and you do everything you want, and it's in a home. So you have beds for naps and different things. And, I was shooting from the hip, and I'm like, hey, and then that property is an investment property that you can make equity in. And on top of that, instead of doing it out of your own home where you can watch 1 kid, you just scaled it because you have an entire home dedicated to that type of service. And you could also just live there if you wanted, but the house is big enough and it's adequate for, well, now you just scaled what you love. So, hey,
you scaled your lifestyle right there.
So if you have a calling or something that you love, right? Like, don't rule out scaling that. You just have to maybe get a little creative and see it from a business aspect, but it could very well be there. And I'll tell you what, being a parent, these big daycare centers and all this other bullshit, not as popular. Like, there's just too many cases of kids not getting attention, or no one's paying attention. They fall over and hit their head, or they have a bruise, or they get a rash on their butt because in their diaper too long. Hey, I would not last a second there, right? Like, I would not even think of that. But guess what? I would hire her in a heartbeat, right?
Yeah.
Like we've got grandma that helps, and when she travels, she might be helping us. We've been talking about that, and as she gets closer to being okay with just doing that long term, and I would hire somebody like that in a second.
yeah,
and if
dude.
she said, "Hey, I've got 8 kids now instead of 1, but we've got to have a house, and I've got 2 people that I trust that are working with me," I'm more okay with that intermediate level, but that just tons of care to a kid versus I go drop my kid off where 400 other kids are as I'm leaving my suburban neighborhood.
$12.75 an hour.
No, man, I'm just not into it. So she's on the cusp of like, hey, you could be on the cusp of something that is in high demand, and you could make a ton of equity on a property, and you could still do what you love and have a couple people help scale it with you and put 10 kids in there instead of 1, and then like the light bulbs started going off, and it's like, oh, this is business ownership. Oh, hell yeah, it's whatever you want to make it. However, right, just do it the right way. But she found like her passion, what she loves, and like that's harder than some of this stuff that we're talking about. If you have a calling or something that you just love, man, like I suggest so strongly finding a way to make that work, man.
Yeah, and I'm really big on understanding that passion and emotion has a value attached to it. Passion and emotion, the good emotion. I'm talking about the emotion of passion, right?
Okay.
That's valuable. So we see this when we're shopping for homes for buyers, right? If you're an investor and you're looking to buy an investment property, we're going to put renters in there. All that matters is what your ROI is going to be, right? You want to put the cheapest cabinets in there, the cheapest granite in there, just to make somebody happy so you can make X amount of dollars on your rent, in your ROI every month. Now, when we're shopping for home buyers who are going to live there, right? Maybe the house is priced $10,000 more than they think it should be. However, it's by the school that they want. It's by the grocery store that they love, that has the cool island and the balcony that overlooks the family room like they love. The emotion of them loving those things about that house
Matters.
That might be worth that 10 grand. That
It's
literally
worth more.
has a value on it, right?
And if you don't offer that 10 grand at full price, and they take someone else's offer.
Yeah. So with this girl,
And what's 10? And we talk about goals and being very matter of fact with some of it, right?
yes,
Well, how much is $10,000 more on a mortgage?
yeah, $20 a month, $25 a month.
$21 a month.
right,
It's
right.
not that much. So hey, are you willing to give up this house in this location over $20 a month?
Right.
What? Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, when you put it like that and it's tangible,
Yeah.
now you can make a decision, right? It's the same thing with your goals and reverse engineering it and just
Yes.
being able to read a situation. But if you're constantly looking at that North Star, you're not reading anything, right? Like,
No. Well,
you could
and-
be in the middle of the ocean, okay? I see the North Star, okay? And then that ocean can take you all the way halfway around the damn world. You can still see the North Star.
Well, and this
You have
can-
no idea, like you literally went through the Panama Canal and you're next to Hawaii, not the backside of China anymore,
Right.
but you still see the North Star.
Right,
Okay,
right,
like
right.
it's not that simple, man.
Yeah, but I think this is going to help people be more realistic with their goals, because if you've got, like, if your number one priority is spending every waking moment with your child, but you also want to start a new business and make $1 million revenue in the first 2 years, something's going to have to give. Either say goodbye to your kid or adjust your $1 million goal.
I want it to be pretty and buff,
See, exactly,
and
dude.
God made me pretty.
Oh,
So what am I-
man. Yeah. You're trying
What am
to
I
cut
supposed
and
to do?
bulk at the same time.
Hey, there's a lot of sales out there that say it's possible.
Dude, yeah.
Juicing.
Yeah.
Not even that. Like, no disrespect to that, man. Just, anyway, we're getting off track here, and I'm ranting a little bit. I'm having fun with this
But
today.
point is, look at where your passion lies
Yeah.
and adjust your goals accordingly. If you can get
Yes.
those two to marry up, awesome.
And big time with lifestyle and phases of your lifestyle, right? Like, well, I got all this I wanted to accomplish, but my husband is his career is just now taking off. Okay, so maybe your turn is in 3 years from now. Like, I'm not saying your goal's dead. I'm just saying understand, like, you got a long time to accomplish it, and there's just going to be phases and just steps that you got to go in accordance to accomplishing that. So yeah, maybe like everything is right except for you don't have enough time because your husband's working 16 hours a day. Okay, so maybe when his company is up and running, or you know, once he gets the promotion he wants and now he's more of a supervisor and he doesn't have to work nights and weekends and he has more free time for kids, that frees you up to put more time into a career. Okay, so then maybe that's where yours starts to take
Right,
off. But
right.
being realistic with you only have 3 hours a day today, you got to do the best you can with what you got, and you got to be realistic about what you got. You're not going to fit 10 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag. It doesn't work, right? And ultimately, you're going to be frustrated every day and every year because you're not accomplishing your quote-unquote goal, when in reality, your goal shouldn't have been your goal in the first place. Your goal should be adequate to the time and the effort and the talent that you can put into it, right?
Yeah.
So I just want people to understand those phases as well, and then ultimately, like, we talk about our happiness, right? Like, and we're going to be talking about this a lot with our team, and maybe along the way, to becoming top producer, somewhere along the way you stop being happy. Okay, so do you just put your head down and just bowl in a china shop and run through it and continue to push to top producer? I don't know. You got to answer that for yourself. But we've all seen, and I'm not gonna dive into it and speculate. We've all seen wealthy and famous people commit suicide. Okay, so understand that, right? Like there's got to be more to it than just your goal, and you got to be able to read yourself and just understand, like, along the way. Like, let's say your goal is top producer and you're halfway there, and let's say you're making $500,000 a year, but you're not happy because you know, along the way you decided to have kids and a marriage or a super cool videographer, you know, that's just funny and sensitive and loves hanging out, and then you don't have any more time for him. Okay, does perspective change your goal? Yes or no? And is it okay?
Yeah.
Well, here's my answer. Being happy is always okay. And I'm okay to change my goal if perspective and lifestyle and priorities take precedence. Because I know in my heart, I didn't quit on that goal. If I'm not quitting on my goals, right? If everything is moving forward how it should, and I'm putting all I can and everything I got into something, but a lifestyle change happens, or you decide to have kids and just other things take priority, and you end up taking your goal in a different direction, or that goal kind of like takes a back seat, and hey, I'm okay being here instead of here, and hey, I don't have to achieve that as rapidly as I thought I did because now I want more times with my kid or whatever it may be. The bottom line is, if you quit on something, you won't sleep at night. If you're putting everything you got into something and priorities in life change and it affects your happiness, and I don't want to sacrifice my happiness for anything.
Yeah,
and I don't want to put a dollar amount on it.
Here's
right?
something that you and I both get, and it took me a long time to realize this, but once I realized it, man, it clicked and it changed my perspective. For the longest time, I always had that mentality of, when I get this, then I will feel like this. And I always had my happiness as this outlier until I get to accomplish my goal or get to this level of income. Like, okay, I'll finally feel happy when I'm making this much per month. And then guess what? Yeah. I'm making that much per month, and I'm like, what the hell? Now I'm not happy. Well, my bills increased and all these other things. So what people should realize, what listeners need to realize right now is that, and this is my hippie side, but man, you need to learn to be happy right now, because happy is an emotion, right? It's not this place. It's not a destination. Happiness is just an emotion, just like anger or sadness or anything.
And it's hard. It's hard. And a lot of times we just put some unrealistic, expectations or responsibilities
fairy
on ourselves.
Tale, like what happiness
or we
should
just carry,
feel like.
Or we carry stress. Like for me with my life, right? Definitely wasn't a fairy tale, but I tended to shoulder a ton, which is fine. I was we'll call it like spring cleaning, right? Like you keep, putting stuff in your garage, putting stuff in the basement, they outgrew this. So they put it in the basement or put it in the garage. But like at some point, like you need to spring clean your house and just get rid of a lot of stuff and purge it, right? So same thing with like stress, right? Like of prior careers or life experiences. And, I've always been able to shoulder a lot. And I just found, I found with myself, like, hey, I'm really good at that trait. But I'm not really good at like coming to peace with it and then shedding that. Yeah. And then no longer carrying that. Right. Like, so I think a lot of people, need to work on that as well, man. And just, I think it's more important than people realize. But again, it's hard for me to put a dollar sign. Like, look, man, you and I got kids. If something was wrong with Cash right now, none of this fucking matters, bro.
Well, dude,
this podcast stops right now on live. Live Facebook, live whatever. We're not even that big of a deal. You guys won't miss us. I get it, right? Even if we were. Look, man, it just doesn't matter.
Well, you've got a really good perspective of gratitude, man. And that's where I think even, prior to us being in business together, like you have a natural inclination to appreciate the people and the things around you. Most people do not. Most people are very self-centered, and they have a mindset of what I don't have this, I don't have this, I don't have this. If you can learn to just show a little more appreciation and gratitude for the fact that you've got breath in your lungs, starting with that, then everything else just becomes just easier to handle. And if your goals take 10 years, your goal take 10 years. I'm not telling myself I'll be happy in 10 years. I'll find a way to be happy right now.
Just understand it's a process.
And just go through the process.
And then here's the other deal. Look, if you don't have anything to be happy about or to respect or appreciate in your life, I'll go there with you. Find it. Right? Like if you're not like, my kid.
You know what you need there? That's when you need to do the opposite. Instead of putting yourself around the top producer, if you're in that state, you need to put yourself around the worst of the worst, the people who actually have it that are rock bottom, man.
Maybe for some perspective.
For some perspective.
Or like I'm talking, I guess I'll give you context. I'm talking like toxic relationships.
Okay.
Right? Like where you like someone's maybe always shooting you down and doesn't respect you or take you serious, and which makes you not take yourself serious. It's just a toxic cycle of violence place, or you're just stuck around some toxic family members, whatever it may be, and you just know you're like, hey, I'm not thankful for anything I'm around. Man, that's a sad place to be, you know, and I'm not even being sarcastic, but then at the same time, as a human, right, like you've got to figure out a way to shed that and break free from that, and then go be around individuals and people, that you are happy for, that you are appreciative to be around, and just because I think that gratitude tends to come organically when you're around people you appreciate, that have value, that not only that just give you value, just and make your life better.
People that aren't feeding it. If you're around people that are bitching about their life, they're complaining about their situation. Listen, we all got shit going on. Everyone is just trying to figure this thing out, just like the next guy. You cannot be around people that are just the complainers and the naysayers. And
it's so cliche to say that, right? But it's so, man, I think it's way more, it's way more of a slippery slope than people realize. Dude, before you know it, you're a part of the drama at work. Before you know it, you're the one bitching and moaning, complaining, or you're pointing a finger. Like, look, like Fat and I. What's up, Fat? Dude didn't even like me at first. Not because he didn't even know me. Yeah. Like I had some advice for him one time because I thought he was a good kid and was up and coming. I didn't think and it's not even the people that were around him were bad. It's just that they were kind of faking the funk. And guess what, man? I knew the guy 2 minutes and I opened my mouth and I tried to give him advice on it. Well, how do you think that's going to come off, asshole?
Right. Yeah.
I think you're going to come off like an asshole.
Yeah.
Right? So after processing it, like, okay. But then again, like, oh, right. So I see him again a couple months later, and he had done some stuff with Fit Republic, with the fitness company. And we had got to know each other a little bit better, but it had never really been spoken about, and when I saw him again, I was just like, hey, dude, like, you mind if I steal you for a minute? And he's, I'm sure he's like, oh, great. Right? He's like, oh, great. Right? Is that how it went? Great.
Yeah.
And I pulled him aside and go, hey, man, I apologize. Like, that wasn't cool. And hey, I hope my intentions were well. Yeah. Like, I just have this innate want to just protect people that I think are good people, that I think are in the right direction. I want to protect them from just putting themselves around the wrong situations. And hey, but you know what? You knew me 5 minutes and that just wasn't my place to say that yet. And even if it was, like, you didn't know me well enough to take it right. Hey, dude, that was my fault, man. I'm sorry. That was it. That was it. It wasn't, now, how do you feel about working for Eli and I? Nope, not at all. Like, that was shit, what, a year and a half prior to even knowing I was going to be in this. There was no other hook to it more than I just like, hey, man, I just think you're a good dude and I just want you to understand me and I hope that I can clear the air. I cleared the air. All good. So some of this too, right? Like if you're pointing fingers out there, like just understanding maybe there are some good people around you and maybe you could just do better, right? So I think it's twofold. I think sometimes maybe break free and go be around people that are more valuable, but then at the same time, like, well, are you that toxic person that can maybe do better, or just unintentional, like I wasn't being toxic to Fat. I also just didn't realize in the moment of trying to help him, he just wasn't open to hearing that from me because he didn't know me, and just, hey, just time and place, I think, and again, time and place for goals, time and place for achievement of goals. You and I have never even spoken about top producer, not that I'm against that goal, but what does that look like? And look, man, like the top 1% we achieved, we did it within our first year, and that was a Berkshire Award. Cool, but that's not a nationwide across the board, just any brokerage period. You and I are not top 1%
we got a long way to go for that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, but again, that's also more than okay. And it's just with being happy and having, and just understanding your why, because our why, it might not be in tune with top producer, like top producing team nationwide, regardless of company, like any company, anywhere, every swinging person.
Do we even want that?
I don't know. I think if it happens, cool. But my thing is just influence and how we can affect people. And we've got a great team behind us, not behind us, alongside of us, and because we're there to help them. They don't work for us. We work for them. So I don't want to say that I said that wrong. They're not behind us. We're behind them. But here's the deal. At some point, if we get so big, we lose being personal with our team because we don't get as much time with them. Maybe we don't hire anymore. Right. Maybe when you think you're going to be 50 or 100 agents and that's what's required to produce that level, cool. But what happens when you hit 35 and you don't get that personal time with your first 20 that are actually producing good people and Okay, well, hey, maybe that's where you got to cut the fat, right? And just understand, like, man, let's go in a different direction. Let's actually downsize, and stay lean and mean, and stay true to the people that were true to us. And like, hey, because being happy is also partly being personal with them and knowing their families and just having that connection with them. And if you get too big, you risk watering that down. So I think, again, along the way, even if you have that fixed goal, along the way, you're going to learn a ton. And some of those circumstances or some of those wants that you think you're going to have go away. It's okay that they go away and they go in a different direction, as long as it's in the direction of making you happy. And as long as you know you didn't quit. I don't quit on anything. We just move in a different direction because our perspective changes based off of what we thought we wanted. Maybe it's a little different. And you should expect that, right? Because shit, man, if you'd asked me if I was going to do real estate when I was 19 years old, no, I would have told you no. So understanding, like, with experience and as you become wise, you should expect some of these things to change as you grow.
Yeah.
You're fucking growing.
Yeah. You
right?
got
Like,
to
you
be
should expect
flexible
it.
in your approach. Have to be flexible.
Not even just approach, but just being wise and just understand that as you evolve as a human, some of your priorities are going to change,
They do.
man, or life circumstances. Sometimes those are going to change. Fat was helping a family member. I'm not going to put your story on blast, so I hope you're not going to mean mug me, Fat. But you don't think that changed his life for 2 years?
Yeah.
Helping a family member?
Yep.
Did that throw a wrench into maybe what his
Priorities
goals?
change, man.
But guess what? He took care of family. So what does that mean? Like, he had to put some of his stuff on hold. So again, sometimes it's circumstantial, but then you get back to your goals. Sometimes it's as you're achieving them, you have a family, or just your perception changes on what you thought your goal was, or you get a better perspective on how much work it's going to take, and you just don't like it that much. And guess what? You're not going to know that until you might be a couple years in, because you haven't actually tasted how much work goes into being a top producer. And then you might be the golden child, well on your way, but then you just don't like the amount of work that it takes, and your career takes a different path. All of that is okay because you're growing as a human, as long as it's making you happy. If you're quitting, and then instead of admitting that you quit on yourself, you don't have to explain anything to anyone else except for you. But if you quit and then you hide behind a circumstance, or you hide behind a change of direction, or you hide behind, oh, this actually makes me more happy.
Right.
But in reality, you quit. You're gonna live a life of quiet despair.
Yes, you
And
are.
you're gonna explode from the inside out.
Yes, you
right?
are.
It's not gonna be good for you. You have to have some self-awareness, self-accountability, and being honest with yourself. But again, being redundant, you should grow and change in your perspective and your wants and your needs and your aspirations. They are gonna change as you continue to grow wise.
They are.
They
They are.
should. Just don't quit.
Yeah.
Just allow your life to evolve and allow your happiness to kind of seep in. And I didn't plan on having a son. Boy, does that change my perspective on
Yeah, it does.
what's important. But
Yeah.
should I just negate what's important now because what was important prior to him takes precedence and I got to hit that goal? Or just do some things, adjust now? They adjust, but I'm also like way more layered by having a son. It's different
Yeah.
than a daughter, right? And I'm more layered, but I embrace that, and I just want to make sure that I'm still being productive and I'm working toward my happiness, and I'm not
Yes.
quitting on shit.
Yes.
right?
Well, and I think what will help people, what's always helped me, I can't remember who told me this years ago.
Me.
But I had told them my goal for something. I think it was for dude. I had said something stupid like, "Oh, I want to do a competition and earn my pro card," and then he goes, "And then what?
Why?
And then what?" And then he goes, "Dude," he goes, "Any goal you ever set down for yourself, before you go down that road, just ask yourself, and then what? So you're gonna get your pro card, and then what? Oh shit, yeah, I don't get paid for that. I guess I can put that like on my marketing so people can come train with me. But that's it. That was the best answer I could
And
come
you and
up
I
with.
both know, or you can put it on your Facebook profile,
Right.
IFBB Pro, so-and-so,
Right.
right? And I'm not shitting on that.
But what does that do?
Some guys just love being bodybuilders, and I love it because they're happy. And then some people use their pro card as a level of achievement.
Or they think they're going
Or they
to.
think.
Yeah.
Some people win a show because they were the only one in their class.
Yep.
And for some reason that show was still allowed to give out a pro card.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, interesting.
Yeah.
Right? So there's just a lot of perspective that goes with it. But again, like, if you're in the pursuit of happiness, I guess, per se, right? Not to be cliche, but I think you always need to check that. Like, am I happy?
Well,
You
and
know?
where I want to throw the asterisk in there of happiness, because there's going to be a ton of shit that you're not going to like. I'm super happy, right? However, I do things every day
Like
that I don't want to do.
He doesn't want to deal with me, guys.
I do things sometimes. I do everything.
hey.
Same with you. Sometimes you don't deal with me. It goes both
Eli,
ways.
I love dealing with you every day.
Shut up. It goes both ways. But my point being, don't confuse happiness with
temporary discomfort because you're working your fucking face off to accomplish what you want.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Sorry, I was paraphrasing.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it.
It's true.
It's true. All the shit is hard. You're gonna have to do a ton of things that you don't like.
Yeah.
You want to be in shape? Guess what? You're gonna have to squat and do deadlifts.
Ooh,
yeah,
shame.
I know. You're gonna have to train.
If I get asked how I got traps one more time,
if you want,
I took that cushion off the back of the squat. I swear to God, my traps got built deadlifting
that helps,
and just pulling weight.
Yeah.
And I took that cushion off the back squat bar, and I felt like that metal bar pushing on my traps with weight on it somehow gave the reverse effect.
Yeah.
And now they're big. I've never worked my traps out.
Now,
ever.
What's helped me do shit every day that I don't want to do and maintain happiness is that I try and do everything I can to make sure I'm having fun doing the shit I don't want to do. When you got to clean your room, when I was a kid, I'd turn the radio up super loud, open the windows, create a fun environment. All of a sudden, cleaning your room ain't that bad.
Yeah.
Day to day.
Why didn't we think of that?
Day to day, I hang out with Will. Him and I are partners. We're together all day long. We're goofing around, having fun in the car, going and see all our clients, dealing with crappy agents, and
we do it
negotiate.
Together.
We do it together.
Doing all that
it's
by
more
yourself,
fun.
not as fun.
It's more fun that way, and that's a longevity hack for me. Like, I'm just really big on making sure that, all right, if I have to drive an hour to the showing, I've got a podcast I'm excited to listen to. You're going to learn something along the way.
And just understanding the greater good. Like, I don't like looking at sewer inspections, but when I know how important that sewer inspection is to a family that's purchasing a $500,000 home, you know, or even not a $500,000 home, just it's the most expensive purchase of their life more times than not.
Yeah.
Hey, that's boring, but it's honorable, because if you're not looking through that and making sure that the people that are doing that inspection in the first place are adequate, well, you could harm that family. So
Absolutely.
it's not fun, but it's honorable, and it fits the greater good of just doing a great job, and it fits my why of taking care of people. And guess what? You do a great job, you get referrals.
Yep.
Is getting referrals fun? Yep. Is going to more closings fun? Yeah. So I don't need to fall in love with every single thing, but I'll fall in love with the process. And more times than not, what's not fun is still honorable. Are contracts fun? No. But that amend to extend, having the right verbiage written in there to protect your client, is that honorable? Yeah, I take pride in that. So you've got to understand those layers, right? It's not just about finding your happy place and you got to fall in love with everything. And or, hey, maybe you really do want to like have that fun environment to clean your room, but you got a baseball game to get to. And your mom said, hey, if you don't clean your room, you ain't going to that game. Okay, so maybe sometimes you got to get in there and just get your shit done.
Yep.
Either way, don't confuse happiness with temporary discomfort within a process for a greater good.
Yep. There's going to be a ton of that.
Yeah.
There's going to be a whole ton of that, which is all the more reason why you got to get used to doing shit you don't want to do every day.
And I'm going to give you a hint. I'm going to throw some forecasting out there for you. If you really love what you do, or if what you're doing is really in line with your strengths, it's really easy to think like I just said. The sewer inspection sucks, but it's honorable.
Yep.
Oh man, like cardio sucks, but I'm gonna be super lean.
Yep.
If you're falling in love with that process, and if what you're doing as a career really fits who you are as a person, you're gonna see it like me. If the things that are not so fun inside of that process and you can't see past them, you might be in the wrong career.
Yeah.
You might be in the wrong place.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like
100%.
So give that some food for thought. And ultimately, if you quit on everything you do, you're never going to be happy. You're just not. So please be super careful about quitting.
Yeah.
Take it to the max, within reason, to make sure that if you are going to walk away something, it's not because you quit. It's because you got to a point on that road where it's just not for you.
Yes.
And I'm so okay with that. But I trust my own work ethic to know how hard I'm going to work at something before I actually say whether it's for me or not. So again, if things suck, but you're able to just look past them and see the greater good in it, I think you're on the right track with what you chose as a career. If these little incremental things that aren't so fun that you got to do, during your day or once a week that are part of the career and they're just the nature of the beast and you can't see past them, the juice might not be worth the squeeze on that career.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
With that being said, man, that's
it, man.
That's where I settle my piece.
That's all I got. Again, if you guys have any comments or anything like that, in addition to what we said, you can always comment on these videos. Shoot us an email or DM on our Instagram. Our Instagrams are everywhere.
Slide into Eli's DM.
I almost said, shoot us an email. I'm like, what?
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, don't go to our email. There's a bunch of important stuff and garbage in there. It's super important or shit.
I don't look at it.
Yeah, there's nothing. So DM us. We're definitely super active on Instagram.
Listen, I'm just not good at emails. I've identified that.
There you go.
And I'm being super realistic and
self-awareness.
Eli's really good at them.
Self-awareness.
So I have a great partner.
We'll see you guys in a few days.
Yes, sir.
All right,
Could be
take
Thursday.
care. Thank you, guys.
Could be Friday. I know everybody gets busy. We're trying to keep these things twice a week, so we're gonna holler at you when we see you.
It'll be something good though, promise. Thank you, guys.
Out.